this week on Let's Talk About It. It's a double relationship episode. That's right. We're going to talk about adult friendships, and we're going to ask the big question, why is it so hard to make and maintain relationships as adults? And then we'll end today's show talking about, can you be friends with somebody that your partner is not friends with? We plan on really getting to the root of this issue. So you've joined us. You're here. Let's talk about it. Well, hello there.
Yo.
This is Let's Talk About It. I'm Malcolm Morgan.
And I'm Micah Morgan.
And thank you all for joining us for this wonderful episode. My love, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing. How are you?
I'm doing great. Somebody didn't notice. They think we were fighting right now by that response. That was
Really?
very cold and terse.
Oh, no.
And I don't know.
That's what you're going to do right now?
That's what I'm
During
doing.
the intro?
Yes.
Okay.
This is setting the tone
I'm sorry.
for this relationship episode.
I promise it was not personal.
Well, it's happening to me, so it's personal.
So it's happening to me. Have we done a double segment episode before?
We have not. I've tried to avoid those at all costs.
Oh,
And
you had to mention that, huh?
yep.
Well, y'all, if y'all didn't guess already, it was my idea to do a double segment episode.
Yes.
And I don't regret it. So
I don't think we'll regret it after.
here we are. So just to give y'all a little taste of what we're talking about, we're going to be focusing on adult friendships the whole way through today. So
Do those exist?
I'm excited.
Is
I
that the
think
question
they
we're
do.
asking? Do those exist?
I think the implication is that they do exist. Just by virtue of them being mentioned in the title. But, some folks out there are wondering, do they exist?
Yes.
Is this the dodo bird that we're looking for? But yeah, we hope that the conversation is helpful. We'll kind of get into what makes making them and maintaining them so difficult. And then we'll transition into, can you have adult friendships with people that your partner does not call friend? So
Dun, dun, dun.
pretty interesting stuff. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm curious to begin with, like, when we think about friendship, where do we like make most of them, and like why? What do you think?
I think we make most of our friends because our parents make us make friends. No, I'm kidding. No, I think.
But are you wrong though?
Well, think about this. Like that. This is not the point that I want to make, but it's something to think about. You always think about when you go to school. Parents are like, well, make friends,
Make
or
friends.
when you come back, who did you meet?
Right.
Like your first day is kindergarten. So who are your friends? Like, oh yeah, like so you gotta get this mind like, oh, I need to go like make friends. when I'm here.
Right.
Like I'm there to learn, but I better come back with, okay, Jimmy, Jamal play basketball with me at recess. I
Oh,
sit next to James.
lots of J's. Did you have a J?
I don't know why that. I didn't even
Jimmy
really.
Jamal.
I didn't know a lot of Jimmys and Jamal. That was just.
Just what came to mind.
I tried to be like diverse with the names. Like, okay, Jimmy's probably white kid. Jamal's definitely
Black.
kid.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I agree. I definitely agree. I think there is this expectation that you go to school, you make friends, try to make good grades, right? And it's easy because you're in classes with the same kids every day.
And if you think about it, I mean, for the most part, most people do not move areas or switch schools. So you're with the same group of people for 12
usually.
plus years.
Yeah.
And so you're a little bit of a captive audience in this place. You know where you're going to be from this time to this time. I mean, and then add to that, if you're playing sports or involved in extracurricular activities, you're seeing those people some more.
Yep.
I mean, for us, there's also the church aspect. There's people that we know from church trips and concerts and vacation Bible school, summer camps, things like that.
Conferences.
All of those things.
Yeah.
Like I have friends that I still am Facebook friends with are people that I met one time at a conference years ago.
Oh, that's so nice.
And so those are all kind of, and then I think it's important when you develop those relationships, those formative years.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you don't think of somebody, oh, this is my best friend. Oh, when did you meet them? I met them my third year, my first job, and we've just been best friends ever since. No.
I mean, for some people, yes, but for most people, no.
It's like, oh yeah, no, I've known this person since I was 4.
Yeah.
Our moms are best friends. We're best friends, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's this idea of like proximity, like you're constantly with these people, frequency, and then a little bit of the shared interest aspect too, just thinking about, like you said, playing basketball together or, you know, we were in whatever club together. So for me, as I think about that, now in my 30s, and I'm hearing, you know, all of this making senseness about friendships in childhood, like, yeah, proximity, frequency, shared interest. I think, well, okay, why doesn't that work at work then? Because you're with those people all the time. You obviously have a shared interest because you're willing to get paid for the same work.
That's debatable whether you have a shared interest.
That's true. my shared interest is getting paid.
It's like we both want to get paid. That's about where
that's enough. And yeah, like frequency, right? You see these folks. I mean, granted, the pandemic has changed that a lot, right? Because a lot of us are working remote, you know, except for our essential workers, and you know, just brief shout out to them because essential workers have been
essential
worked during this pandemic. But
thank you, Micah, essential worker. Continue.
Oh, I appreciate that. I wasn't even thinking about me. But yeah, I'm thinking like, okay, well, if those are the ingredients, why don't it work at work?
Them interests ain't as common at work. I'll tell you that right now. Them interests are not as common. And then, you know, I think for our generation especially, jobs are temporal. They're not as
right.
They don't last as long. I mean, people, you know, our parents' generation, and maybe even probably the generation before that more so, you stayed at a job or you had it
your whole life.
You had it you knew these people. I mean, you got your pension at the end of it and you were good. But jobs aren't built like that anymore. Even people working them, and then the companies themselves, the same loyalty isn't there. So you're not at a place for 10 years. I mean, I haven't had a job longer than 3 years. I think is the longest I've had a job. Which,
according to some generations, is generational.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation.
But I will say, like, I'm not afraid to admit the same thing. Like, I think our age group that's a common feature of our career, that, you know, you land somewhere for a few years and then you find another opportunity.
We've also had 2 recessions, a global pandemic.
Yeah.
All of that happened during
our working years. Wow, what a time.
Yes.
What a time to be alive.
So take that, Great Depression. We had 3 of them.
Yikes. All depressions are worth lamenting, though. We're not going to compare.
All depressions matter?
All depressions, no. No. Okay, I'm not even going to entertain that.
That sounds like a great mental health shirt, by the way, though. But, you know.
You know what? You got something there. Appreciate that. But no, it's this like transient, like temporary. And also I think, honestly, I don't think, unless you have some kind of like, well, I was getting ready to reference Google, but then we found out that Google wasn't a very healthy place for women or for people of color.
Can we be honest? Is there any workplace that's been healthy for women?
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's really this like, because of our culture and the way we view work and the way we commodify people themselves, there's this latent like competition and mistrust that I think is in all workplaces. Yeah. And so honestly, unless you just got this like wonderful work environment where your manager is super nurturing and like their main gift is connecting people, that's not usually a place to nurture some friendships.
It really isn't.
It really isn't. Like, but I think what tends to happen though is if you are like, you just happen to sit next to somebody for the whole time that you're there, and you happen to like have some things in common, your personalities mesh well, then you'll probably form a friendship. But all in all, like, I'm just sitting here like, man, is the workplace a place to develop friendships?
I mean, you have to think about it. When you're in school, your mind, your personality, your emotions, all those things are still developing.
Right.
And then when you come to a workplace as an adult, you have people in different stages of life. You have people that are just out of college. You have people that have been there for 10 years and are super jaded about the job. You got people that are just there for the paycheck. You got people that this is their one passion.
Right.
And they are going to give everything they have to this company. And so it's like, you don't know who you're, like you said, you don't know who you're going to get sat next to or who you're going to be working with on a project. You don't know what they're going through at home. You don't know what their family background was like. You are meeting this person at whatever moment in time, and it may be the most stressful time of their lives. Exactly. But as kids, you really don't have that. There's not that extra pressure. I mean, you want to do well in school. You want to get good grades. But that's not the same as if I lose this job, I'm going to be homeless. Or my wife is getting ready to leave me. Or my kid is like, that's a completely different level of stress that it's hard to navigate in a workplace and build a relationship.
At the same time. Yep. So it's, It which makes me sad because when I don't remember the quote, but there's something outrageous like you spend 2/3 of your life.
That's so depressing.
Yeah, we don't want to say that too many times.
So depressing.
But no, and just a quick like caveat, like I believe that it is healthy to find fulfilling work and to find a level of being creative and productive that does not impede your ability to feel valuable in and of yourself. Right. So this isn't me saying like, oh, boo, all work sucks. Not saying that, just to let everybody know.
Your bank account and your bills do not agree with that. All work does not suck. Some work is okay.
Some work is okay. But it just makes me sad that with us spending so much of our lives at work, there is this, at least what I've heard, a consensus of, man, like, I get lucky if I make some friendships at work, but it's not really the norm or the expectation.
Well, I think one of the key things, if you do want to maintain a relationship with people that you work with, is don't just be throwing it to everybody. Some people ain't there to be your friend, and some people you're not compatible with. But I think what's important is that you take, if you value that relationship, find ways to take that outside of work. Right. Like I had some friends that I worked with at a company. We all had a very rough time at this job, but we liked each other. So we had dinners, we had lunch while we're at work, and then there'll be other times that we meet up to go get wings and just talk. Yeah. And even now, from time to time, we'll check in on each other, life events. One of them got married in the last couple of years. Another one had a couple kids, and we still check in with each other. But that started because we found ways to maintain our relationship outside of work and have a relationship that wasn't centered around the job.
Yeah. Which, can I say something? It makes me sad though that for men it seems a little bit harder to make and maintain friendships in adulthood, because I think there is this like almost like feminization of friendship itself, where for men, unless you're like, you'll get together to do a parallel task, right? Like we're going to get together, we're going to eat, and we're going to watch sports, or we're going to go play golf, or we're going to go play basketball. But the idea of getting to the point in friendship where you can share your internal world, like what is frustrating you, what brings you joy, what makes you sad, what are you regretting, what are you lamenting? What I've observed is that's too far. Like, if men are able to get past that point, it's a very beautiful and perhaps even kind of rare thing. So I don't know. I was just thinking about like, okay, well, why doesn't it work at work? But then also like, why do we see so many more deep friendships among women as opposed to men? And I think it is that kind of like, being too close can almost be feminine for men.
I guess I hadn't really thought of it that way. And I don't really have a lot to add to that. I don't know. I'd never thought of it that way.
I see you narrowing your eyes.
Yeah.
Those thinking eyes.
I mean, that's not how I view closeness in a relationship. I don't. So, yeah, I wouldn't have thought. I'm just like imagining in my mind, like, is that your friend? Oh, that's your friend, huh? Like, no. Like,
you ain't even need to go there. Yeah.
Oh, y'all talk about stuff. Y'all tell secrets. Oh, okay.
y'all talk about your feelings. No, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just me wondering out loud. You know, for me, it's just an observation in terms of, I notice more women with deep friendships than I do with men. And so I was just thinking out loud, like, is that what's happening underneath the surface? I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I hope I'm just not noticing all the very deep friendships that men share, because y'all deserve it.
Well, I think maybe there's more deeper women friendships, but there's something that we talked about, is that sometimes there could be like kind of a possessiveness amongst women when it comes to friendships. Like,
ooh-wee.
And like the example I think of is like at a wedding, like, oh girl, this is my best friend. And the other girl's like, oh, I thought I was your best friend.
I have, unfortunately, I've seen that, yes.
And so I think maybe women have deeper friendships, but I think men might have wider, more base level friendships than that.
Or is what we're actually talking about, that there's a different way of connecting. And for me as a woman, I consider a deeper friendship a sharing of internal worlds, whereas maybe for men it's like frequency. Like, I'm not gonna be kicking back with you every week unless we like real close. But I might kick back with you like whenever there's a conference at church. So maybe it was unfair. I think it was unfair for me to use the descriptor deeper. But I do like what you're bringing up, which is this like a wider base of, and I would even say, I don't know, like, is that less like territorial for men? Because like I've seen men just like, oh yeah, this is my bro from so and so, and he ends up sitting down at the lunch table one day, and then y'all are eating lunch together for the rest of your work career. Yeah. But I don't know, for women, I think there is this kind of like, and I'll be honest, like I have to intentionally weed it out for myself too. Like if I hear about a friend, you know, kicking it with somebody, I'll be like, oh, I didn't know that y'all was kicking it. But you know, I check myself. I don't say it out loud. But I'm really about to go, you know, like journal and write this down. Like, where is this coming from? That is, I'm really intrigued.
There's probably some science behind it. That'll be part 2 of this episode.
It'll be part 2. I'm gonna be up at 3 a.m. Googling stuff. That's what happens, y'all. But no, you know, that wasn't even on script. That was nice.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the next question I'm thinking about, because we talked about like, where do we usually make friendships? You know, what are the main ingredients, and you know, those ingredients, what makes them difficult to kind of like hold on to at work. We talked a little bit about gender in friendships. So now I'm thinking about, okay, now you've arrived at this point. If you've chosen to be partnered, you're partnered. Can you have friendships with someone that your partner does not have a friendship with? And man, that's
Micah, can I?
Off script, Micah, what you think?
Can I?
But before we get to that, I will answer that, of course. I do want to pause and actually talk about why we even are having this conversation, because while we were preparing for this episode, it dawned on me that, like, you know, you mentioned earlier the lunches and the dinners that you had with your guy friends at work. I didn't bat an eyelash, right? Like, yeah, of course, go to dinner. I'm gonna be at home reading my books.
Kareem and Robert are going to
Kareem
going to Wingstop.
There
cool.
was not a Kareem.
Oh, but let me have said, oh yeah, me and Delilah are going.
Now, see, why you do that?
Applebee's.
Why you do Delilah? All the undertones.
Because no one knows a Delilah, so it's safe. It's a safe name to use.
That's true. You got all biblical on it. But you're right. Absolutely. Like, when you've had, and this is me being transparent, when you've had like meetings with women, like for business, not even like, oh, there's this woman at work that we have a shared interest and we're going to go out to, it was for business. And I really I had questions like, oh, where is she from?
Whose business are you minding?
So all that to say, I think there is an honesty that we need to confront, which is that, look, we're not asking this question if your partner is having a friendship with someone you're not worried about them potentially being attracted to, right? And so this can go multiple ways depending on your sexual attraction. But if it's somebody that, this person, they're attracted to somebody else, some other gender, then you'd be like, yeah, go ahead and do whatever. So I think it's important to be honest about that. And I wonder if there is this influence of purity culture as well, because we've got the Billy Graham rule, don't give the appearance of evil by being in a room alone with the same gender. And, I wonder if there's a bit of that informs this kind of mistrust.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because.
Well, I think an example that I thought of, Kevin Hart has a stand-up bit where he talks about he's out with his friends. And this is his male friends, but his girl calls and there's too much fun going on in the background. So you're trying to shut down the fun. Like, okay, hey, everybody know, hey, everything's cool here. Ain't nothing happen. So it's like, I think at a base level with our partner, we assume, okay, we're friends. But if somebody from the opposite gender that you can just be friends with, okay, I thought we was friends. Like, why do you even need another friend? Like, you don't want anybody, you don't want your partner having fun with somebody else of the same gender
more than they have fun
with you.
Yeah, like if I hear you having a good belly laugh with some other woman, I have questions.
Yeah.
And that's just me being honest.
Your partner's over there scrolling on Twitter and it's one of those, Twitter comedians and it's a man and they laugh a little bit too hard. You like, what's so funny?
What's so funny over there?
That ain't even funny.
You got your chin in the air. I don't think that's funny.
They're like, oh, is this funny back? No, that's not funny at all.
No, that's not funny.
That's actually a little racist. So
I think that's offensive if you ask me.
I don't think light-skinned people lick their lips like that. I'm just being honest.
But babe, I heard you joke. I heard you tell the same joke last week.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm very tolerant of light-skinned people.
I'm very tolerant.
No, so I think that's a part of it too. Is that friendship is, I don't want to say inherently fun, but there's a level of fun.
I would hope it is.
Yeah, but that sounds weird to say. Oh, friendship is fun. Like it just seems like some like little.
But it's true.
It's somewhat true. Yes. But there's this level of fun that comes with friendship, and so it's like, look, okay, you can have fun with Micah, you can have fun with Chrissy and Darnika, but.
Don't be having fun with Jamal.
But Michael, definitely you can't be having fun with, okay? Because we have fun.
Right,
you don't have fun with,
you can have 30% fun with him.
We can have enough fun, okay?
For the both of us.
I remember what you used to laugh like when I used to tell jokes, and that was a little too close to the laugh that you gave Michael on that joke.
That's legit. That's legit. But again, like the honesty, right? Yeah. Like I think if couples, partnered people can really get to the point where they're like, look, I'm gonna be honest, I feel like you haven't, why can't we have fun like that? I ain't heard you laugh like that with me in a while. And so at least it opens up the conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think there's a little bit of that kind of like possessiveness, territorial element to it. And so I think if we're honest, like we've had that conversation about, like a hint of possessiveness there. Really the main kind of boundary, or I guess deciding factor of whether you can have a friendship with someone your partner does not, one of them is at like, has there been some kind of beef between your partner and that person? Yeah. Right. I think I would certainly feel betrayed if my partner was like, oh yeah, I'm fine with being friends with the person that like publicly disrespected my partner. I would be looking at you sideways like, oh,
so y'all gonna go see a movie, huh? And then eat afterwards.
Like, that's real intimate for
Okay.
for what they did to me back
And then you get you have fun.
You have a whole, you do you,
Have
boo-boo.
a good time.
So
Meanwhile, she's calling Jamel. Tell me that joke you said the other day.
So there's definitely that.
Mm-hmm.
What else would you say is like, I think there's also, has this person been attracted to your partner in the past?
That's a big.
That's a huge, like, honestly.
Or do you think that this person is the type of person that your partner would be?
Ooh.
That's a whole nother.
Do you think that's a deciding factor though?
I think that's part of the equation at some level.
But wouldn't that be an opportunity for your partner to kind of maybe wrestle a little bit with their insecurity? I think there is a partnership of working through insecurity within relationships. I really do. Like, I'm not taking away that a person is responsible for their own insecurity, right? But if you love somebody and they're saying, hey man, look, I'm just feeling a little insecure about that woman over there that you're spending time with. Mm-hmm. If you care about them, then I would hope, you would want to put some distance in between you and them. But I don't know if that would be, are you saying it would be an automatic, like, just because I think that you could be attracted to a woman, that's like, no, that you can't be friends with her.
I'm not saying that is a rule or some sort of rational line of thinking. I'm just saying that.
The R word.
I don't think it's not a, this is well thought out and you should adhere to this. I think a lot of that is internal insecurity of, I think you might be attracted to this person. Right. Maybe.
But it should at least give you pause is what I'm saying. What I'm hearing you say. Yeah. And again, like, I think what we're bringing up is that these observations within your partner are opportunities to, like, talk it out. I think what sometimes happens is there's no communication. Like, there's just passive aggressive, you do you boo boo comments, or pretending like a joke that the other partner's friend said wasn't funny.
Or you give the person the 10th degree when they come home. So what did y'all do? Where did y'all go?
Where'd y'all go? Who was y'all with?
How long were you there? What did you order?
Right.
What did they order? Oh, y'all had 2 drinks?
Right.
Okay.
So instead
y'all came straight home afterwards?
Instead of doing all of that, like, at minimum, what we're saying is please have a conversation. Yeah. Like, we've had conversations where, most of the time it's been me, where it's just been like, I don't know. I feel a little tightness in my chest when you talk about that person. And I think we need to talk it out together.
I think that's a heart palpitation. You need to get to look at that immediately.
Maybe. I'll talk to my doctor after I talk with you.
No, I think that level of honesty is super important, to be able to take in what your partner is saying to you and say, okay, it's something that you say to me, how am I showing up when I'm with this person or when I talk about this person? And what unconscious clues is that putting out? Because some of the things that we put out that our partner picks up on aren't things that we're not intentionally responding a certain way when this person says something. But a lot of it is like, and your partner recognizes that in you because hopefully they saw it.
You.
Hopefully they saw it when you were recording each other.
Right. And I think that goes back to attunement, which we've talked about, in a few segments on the show, which is just the idea that you desire to understand your partner's internal world and you feel somewhat equipped to understand and respond to your partner's feelings and their thoughts. So if your partner comes to you and says, I'm a little uncomfortable. Yeah. My hope is that would motivate, like, a little bit of openness, curiosity in you. So why don't we end with, we've run the gambit, we've gotten to the bottom of a few things, but what in adulthood makes friendships work anyway, right? Because we're not 6 meeting up on the playground at recess anymore. So if those things aren't working, what exactly... What is working?
Intentionality. You have to be intentional. So much when you're, especially in school, you have this routine that happens. Same thing happen every day. You have this class at a certain time. You got lunch at this time. You got recess. So you can kind of predict and work around. Okay, this is when I'm going to see this person. This is when I'm going to see this person. This is when I'm going to see all of them together. This is when I hang out with this group of friends. But when you're an adult, you have to be a lot more intentional about building a schedule that allows you to do things outside of, like, if you're trying to build relationships outside of work, if there's somebody that you want to build a relationship with. Hey, come over for dinner. Oh, hey, come watch the game. Hey, this is happening. Whatever. Let's go on once you get to a certain point in a relationship, let's go on a trip. We're going to, couples trip to Barbados. Whatever. And so you have to be really intentional about creating space for that, because it's easy as an adult just to kind of get sucked into your own world every day.
Right. Yeah.
Go to work, come home, eat, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, and then just do that over and over again.
Oh, there's sleep? There's sleep involved?
Well, you try to sleep. You try to sleep, unless you just got the vaccine and then you're not sleeping. But yeah, I think that intentionality is really important.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I would say too, an openness to making friends. I can't tell you how many times I've heard somebody at work say, I ain't here to make friends.
Yeah.
And you know what? I respect that.
Yes. Thank you for letting me know.
Thank you for letting me know. I will not cross that boundary. I will respect that.
Or talk to you ever.
But, if you are in a point in your life where you're like, yeah, I would love to nurture some new relationships, just the internal posture of I am open to meeting someone new, nurturing a friendship with them, I think is kind of a essential ingredient as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think too, so intentionality, openness, but also, I mean, I hate to sound so predictable because I'm the empathy monster, but I think empathy is so important because as adults, we're all in such different. I mean, if you're living in a particular area, you're going to find lots of similarities with the adults around you, but being able to empathize with where another person is, I think is just so important, because otherwise you're just going to end up watching movies together or talking about the latest thing that you watched. But if you want your conversations to go deeper than that, you have to be able to kind of take their perspective and even have an interest in how they feel or what they think. Yeah. So I think empathy is important as well. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, yeah, that vulnerability and openness. I think as adults, I think we're less interested in surface level relationships. Like it's like we've been in a whole bunch of those. We've seen those. We're looking for if we have, even if it's just a few people that really know us, that truly care about us, that when the chips are down, they'll be there for us. Yeah. I think as adults, that's way more important than necessarily when you're in school and you're trying to be with friends as many people as you know, as you can get your hands on. And they could all be, 80% of it can be surface. I think as adults, that is not nearly as important as finding people that are truly there for you, that understand you, that are going to lament when you lament, that are going to be happy when you're happy. And then when you really need to vent or have a really critical conversation, they're going to be there for you. And so I think that starts with the empathy piece. And to add to that, just the openness, understanding, and vulnerability. I think that's really important for real relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. But you also brought something to my mind. You mentioned critical conversations or crucial conversations. I think adult friendships, you need conflict skills, we're going to have disagreements. We're going to have, differing opinions. And if you're not able to hear someone say, I disagree, I think differently, without, taking that personal or thinking that they're making a critique of you as a person, then it might be pretty difficult to maintain, an adult friendship, because look, y'all been alive for 30, 40, 50 years. Y'all gonna have some different ways of viewing things. So being able to have conversations about those things and experience negative emotions with one another without that becoming a volatile situation, I think is important as well.
So, Micah, before we leave today, what did we learn?
What did we learn? Was this educational? Did we
all of our episodes are educational.
So oh gosh, learned just feels weird. We talked about adult friendships in general, right? Making and maintaining them. Where did it all begin? It began at recess on the blacktop or on the jungle gym, right? And they've, grown into workplaces where it's difficult. And so we talked about like, how do we maintain those friendships as you grow older? But then we also talked about once you become partnered, can you have relationships with folks that your partner isn't friends with? Ultimately, the answer we came up with was yes. But there are some strategic ways to do that, of course. Yes. So we, as always, do not want this conversation to end here. So if you've got some thoughts about what adult friendships look like for you, what's made them difficult, what makes them easy, or you have a great story about a relationship that you have with someone outside of your partnered relationship, it going well, it going not so well, feel free to use the hashtag #TalkAboutItPod, because we would love to have this conversation keep going. And then you can, of course, connect with us on Twitter. I am at J. Marie Morgan.
And I am at Malcolm DOT Media.
And we will absolutely join in on the conversation again with you.
Yes. And if you want to be our friends, we would love to be friends with you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, this has been another great episode.
I think so.
Season 2.
I mean, we're a bit biased, but
it is. We really like the show. Season 2 is off to a really good start. Thank you guys for listening to Let's Talk About It. We'll see you guys next time.